It may not happen to your child, but your child most likely knows either a friend, a loved one, or a friend who has parents who are struggling.
Across the West Coast, cities are struggling to deal with the growing fentanyl crisis. And tonight, officials are taking new steps meant to protect the public and to educate children about the dangers. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. From the Pacific Northwest to the Bay Area to Southern California, so many communities are experiencing an alarming increase in fentanyl overdoses. In Los Angeles, public health officials are calling the overdose situation the worst in county history. They say 7 to 8 people are dying on average every day. Roughly half of those deaths are caused by fentanyl. Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer says that fentanyl is the #1 cause of accidental deaths for 18 to 45-year-olds in the county and the primary cause of 92% of teen overdose deaths in LA County.
Awareness of the risk of fentanyl and counterfeit pills, stimulants, and other substances is critical for the public, including youth, parents, and other adults. The Department of Public Health, along with many of the collaborating partners in the county and that you see here today, are deploying a spectrum of strategies to combat the overdose crisis.
And among those strategies, working with school districts to make sure naloxone spray is available on campuses. There is also a plan in place to engage with young people through peer leadership and training programs. And in Washington, officials in one county are taking a new approach to try to educate children about the dangers of fentanyl by using the power of social media.
When people sell drugs, sometimes they mix fentanyl in because it's cheap and strong. One pill or line can cause an overdose, even though the others didn't. You can't tell by looking at it.
Pierce County health officials are working with youth organizations to reach children with this new campaign. It includes messages on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and ads at movie theaters. The department wants young people to know, even if they're using illegal drugs, there are a variety of resources that can help.
Do not misuse alone. Encourage people to carry naloxone with them. Encourage people to use fentanyl test strips, and encourage people to call 911 if they see an overdose, whether they know the person or not.
When people sell drugs, sometimes they mix fentanyl.
The Pierce County Health Department is awarding $5,000 to 8 different organizations in the area who are creating fentanyl awareness messages. And 2 West Coast lawmakers are working to raise awareness on a national scale about fentanyl poisoning. California Representative Kevin Kiley and Oregon Representative Suzanne Bonamici have introduced a new bill that's aimed at students, parents, and educators. Fox 12's Paulina Aguilar has that story tonight from Portland.
The bottom line is this legislation will save lives.
It's called the Fentanyl Awareness for Children and Teens in School Act, or FACTS. It's a new bill to educate students about fentanyl. It was introduced by state leaders, including Representative Suzanne Bonamici.
Awareness curriculum like this should be available to students and families across the country.
The FACTS Act will create a pilot grant program and create partnerships with public health and local educational agencies to create workshops and campaigns. It would also allow school health centers to obtain Narcan and educate school employees. The FACTS Act was inspired by the Beaverton School District's Fake and Fentanyl Awareness Program, which teaches kids about fentanyl in health class. The program was prompted after the district lost several students to fentanyl-related deaths in 2020 and 2021.
We're going to be adding a lesson on for high school students how to recognize an overdose and how to react.
Michelle Stroh lost her son, 25-year-old Keaton, from a fentanyl overdose in 2020.
I had no idea what fentanyl was. I felt that I would have a better way of understanding had I known.
Stroh is also an Oregon City School District board member and says in May, the district also implemented programs regarding fentanyl.
With education comes understanding. And what we found on the student surveys is that students aren't understanding how deadly fentanyl actually is. Talk to them about how to administer Narcan, not to be afraid of it. Call for the help and make the effort.
She says she is in favor of the bill, but the conversation starts at home.
This is one of the hardest conversations to have, and the severity of it. And the more you have a candid conversation and not a parent coming down on you conversation, opens them up to actually asking more questions.
Government officials say they hope to get this bill approved and passed as soon as possible. Reporting in Oregon City, Paulina Aguilar, Fox 12 Oregon.
As the fentanyl crisis continues to overwhelm the West Coast, one major city is now cracking down on drug crimes. The Seattle City Council has voted to allow the city attorney to prosecute cases of open drug use and possession. Initially, the council opposed the idea. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell signed the new ordinance today, less than 24 hours after the council approved that contentious bill. The ordinance does emphasize treatment and diversion options. The mayor and city attorney say those are the preferred approaches, but this new law also gives the attorney's office the authority to prosecute cases as gross misdemeanors. In the city of San Francisco, officers assigned to the Tenderloin District Police Station have made 679 arrests for drug sales so far this year. Mayor London Breed shared the latest statistic on social media, saying that is a 77% increase over the same time period last year.
Right now, we've seen this area recently get cleaned up with the focused efforts by the city, different agencies, and our police officers who are doing more patrols and enforcing more laws regarding the open air drug usage as well as the drug dealing.
Officer Robert Rueca says crews have also been working to clean up the area by painting over graffiti. Today, officials in California revealed actor Angus Cloud died from an accidental overdose. According to the Alameda County coroner, Cloud died of acute intoxication from a combination of drugs that included fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine. Cloud was best known for his role in the HBO show Euphoria. The 25-year-old died at his family's home in Oakland in July. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden touched down on the West Coast tonight. A short time ago, she landed in Seattle, where she will be visiting the city to highlight the Biden administration's Cancer Moonshot Project. Tomorrow, she plans to visit the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center for an event promoting cancer research. Dr. Biden will also be speaking at private political fundraisers ahead of election season. The White House says the First Lady will go on to Los Angeles and San Diego after leaving Seattle. Striking writers and top studio executives were back at the bargaining table once again today. Fox 11's Phil Schuman is in Sherman Oaks, California tonight, where those talks are taking place.
Power, union! Power! Union! Power!
Day 143 for striking writers. But on this day, the hope is that the end is near. Helly Hall and her colleagues ready to start writing scripts again instead of slogans on picket signs.
I do feel better that they're back to talking.
Talking here at the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers offices in the Sherman Oaks Galleria for the second day in a row after they hadn't met for a month.
Yeah, union power.
So much at stake for so many, especially Hall in both the writers and actors unions.
I feel really optimistic. I feel that sometimes you have to be pushed to the edge in order for you to recognize what needs to happen.
The WGA, along with, reportedly, reps from NBC Universal, Disney, Netflix, Warner Discovery, are not commenting today other than confirming negotiations. The key issues continue to be staffing levels, limits on artificial intelligence, and more transparency on streaming numbers to better establish compensation.
Radio silence for both sides, so that's good. That means they're talking. So far, no bad news has come out. No good news, but as long as they're talking, that's good news.
That last item key for so many, like writer Michael Carrington, who depends largely on residuals.
The problem is with these streaming services, the residual packages and checks are very, very small. Very small, pennies sometimes. So it's impossible to live on when you get a check for, 37 cents. And that's for like 5 shows.
Details of the negotiations have yet to emerge. The last time the two sides met in August, the Producers Alliance said it was the best offer they've made to the Guild in decades. The Guild said they were being lectured. In Sherman Oaks, Phil Schuman, Fox 11 News.
After the break tonight on West Coast Wraps, 2 Las Vegas teenagers in court today after authorities say they intentionally hit and killed a retired police chief while he was out riding his bike. Plus, lawmakers in Hawaii urging tourists to return to the island of Maui despite strong pushback from some residents. Today's message from the governor.
And in West Coast weather, still tracking some haze and some smoke across portions of Northern California, but it looks like a pattern change. We could be talking about real rain up in the Pacific Northwest, and we'll have the update coming up.
Two Nevada teenagers accused of intentionally hitting and killing a bicyclist with a stolen car in Las Vegas appeared in court today to face murder charges as adults. Those teens were arrested on Tuesday. They're both accused of killing retired police officer Andres Probst. Police say before crashing into Probst, the teens hit another man on a bike, then sideswiped a car that was driving by them.
Under law in Nevada and most any other place, if you aid and abet, encourage, facilitate, or help in any way another person to commit a crime, you're equally guilty. So even though the passenger may not have driven the vehicle, we believe under the evidence that he is an aider and abetter and equally guilty.
The district attorney also says the teenager who was believed to be driving does have another pending case in juvenile court. A large homeless encampment in downtown Phoenix that neighbors say has become a public nuisance is going to be cleared. An Arizona judge has ordered the city to remove the hundreds of tents and structures that make up what's known as the zone. The judge has ordered the camp to be cleared by November 4th. City crews have been slowly dismantling the encampment since May. Many business owners and neighbors have complained the camp was leading to an uptick in crime in that area. On the island of Maui, some people will soon be able to return to the town of Lahaina. For many residents, it will be the first time since the deadly wildfires that killed more than 90 people and devastated much of that historic town. Fox's Tanya J. Peters has more tonight on this emotional return for fire survivors.
It was the deadliest American wildfire in more than a century. At least 97 people killed when flames swept through Maui back in August. Now, the focus is firmly on recovery. Hundreds of anxious residents are gearing up to return to Lahaina on Monday. Many will see their properties for the first time since the fires. It's part of Maui's re-entry program, and local officials say they're working hard to make sure everything goes smoothly.
The community feels a sense of anxiety and uncertainty. So what we need to bring is stability and security.
But those displaced residents are still asking tough questions about why they received no warning and why it was so difficult to get away when the fire started. The Maui Police Department is defending its performance, but also taking a deeper look at its response and how it can improve moving forward.
Do we have certain breaching equipment in each district, such as jaws of life and different saws that can normally go through barriers and doors and things like that.
Meanwhile, West Maui is gearing up to reopen to tourists in just 3 weeks. That news welcomed by business owners, but strongly criticized by some locals.
I was in shock. It turned to anger because we making accommodations for tourism, but we cannot even make accommodations for displaced residents, such as myself.
More than 6,000 people have signed a petition calling for tourism to remain suspended in West Maui, saying it's too soon to welcome visitors back. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
And today, Hawaii's Governor Josh Green reassured people on Maui that tourism will not get in the way of finding permanent housing for those who lost everything in the fires.
We're still going to err on the side of protecting our people rather than tourism. It has to be said, they go hand in hand. If we don't have enough tourism, we don't have enough services for people to have school or food sources. As Micah said very eloquently to me a few times, you have a lot of needs and they keep going on. They don't just end after a couple months. You have to save some monies for later. And we're trying to make sure we smoothly go from this traumatic phase to a place where people have begun to heal and then definitely move into houses.
The governor says tourism is essential to rebuilding Maui and helping to speed up the recovery process. Governor Green says visitors to the island will help to generate revenue that will be used to put resources into the island, including building a brand new elementary school in Lahaina. West Maui, that is, opens to tourism on October 8th. Year after year, states all across the West have experienced severe drought conditions, and now a major city is taking some steps to try to conserve water. Seattle Public Utilities is asking its customers to voluntarily use less water. This comes after an unusually dry summer. The utility, which serves 1.5 million customers, says this request will help to stretch the water supply until fall rains. The utility is asking people to stop watering lawns, to take shorter or fewer showers, and check and fix potential leaks, especially running toilets.
We do not activate this plan very often. The last time we activated it was back in 2015. And I know it just rained yesterday and there's some rain in the forecast for next week, but that's not going to be enough to sufficiently replenish our reservoirs.
Mandatory restrictions are not in place. However, officials say that would be the next step if the water picture in that area continues to worsen. Parts of California still dealing with poor air quality tonight. Many people across the Bay Area are dealing with unhealthy conditions. This is a look here at the smog in the Bay Area right now. That is what they have been experiencing for the past couple of days. All of it is a result of wildfires in far northern California and Oregon as well. And we want to welcome in our viewers here now watching West Coast Wrap on KTVU+. And we want to check in with meteorologist Mark Tamayo for more on how much longer all that haze is likely to stick around.
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, probably some improvement tomorrow, but you'll definitely notice some changes as we head into the weekend. So, yeah, we have been tracking those wildfires in southern Oregon, up in northern California, and that northerly wind transporting that smoke across northern California toward the Bay Area. So, as a result, poor air quality, another spare the air day issued for your Thursday, actually for this was today, and then once again into it tomorrow. So this was the scene earlier, looking out toward the Oakland Estuary, San Francisco in the distance, and the spare the air alert issued extended into Friday, but probably some promising changes as we head toward the weekend. This is all based, of course, on the fire activity, but also the wind pattern. So for your Friday, we're still going to hold on to that northerly breeze, but then look what happens into the weekend. The smoke concentrations actually move up to the north because we're going to have a change in the wind pattern. It'll shoot all that smoke out of Northern California into Oregon. So you can see what's happening. We have some showers out toward portions of Nevada. Of course, we talked about the smoke. There's a developing storm out here, and it looks like increasing rain chances up in the Pacific Northwest into early next week, even the chance this weekend. So for Seattle today, they actually had some sunshine. Temperatures right around 70 degrees as we check out the cameras in Phoenix. Not a cloud in sight. Temperatures in the upper 90s. And as you can see in Southern California, they had the low clouds and fog and some higher clouds streaming into Southern California. Temperature today in the 70s, right around 74. So here is the overall weather picture. You can see the circulation out toward Nevada, generating some rain showers, and this will continue to produce some rain showers out toward Idaho and Montana tomorrow. Current numbers across the West Coast. You can see Seattle 64, San Francisco 66, Palm Springs 83, and San Diego has cooled off into the upper 60s. Here is the forecast model. So it is dry up in the Pacific Northwest for tomorrow. Here you can see the rain showers out toward Montana and Idaho for your Friday. But look at this activity out in the Pacific. This is a pattern change that will bump up the rain chances into the weekend, especially up towards Seattle. Even a better bet as a real organized storm comes on board Sunday night and into Monday. So over the next 3 days, as you can see, it's a fairly quiet weather pattern for these cities. For Seattle, though, we will bring in about a 40% chance of some rainfall by Saturday. For Denver, lots of sunshine. Los Angeles, low clouds and fog. And Phoenix, no triple digits. Those readings mainly in the mid to upper 90s. But an interesting pattern developing as we track the rain moving from north to south into early next week. We could be welcoming back some raindrops.
All right, Mark, thank you. Still to come tonight on West Coast Wrap, Stanford University returning millions of dollars in gifts, and it's all connected to the collapse of cryptocurrency exchange FTX. Plus, an incredible moment today between a woman and the man who received her late husband's organs.
I do. Hi, Derek. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And then when we get to that Longmont with my memorial run, I just want to talk with you and see what you think. No, second. Second or maybe third. Okay, yeah. Nothing in first block. I think we're all good. Thank you.
The state of California is now taking action to protect reproductive freedom and transparency in the state. Attorney General Rob Bonta announced a lawsuit today in Oakland. It names anti-abortion group Heartbeat International and Real Options Obria, which is a chain of crisis pregnancy centers in Northern California. The lawsuit alleges those two organizations used fraudulent and misleading claims to advertise an unproven and experimental procedure called abortion pill reversal.
Advocates of abortion pill reversal falsely claim that if a pregnant person takes high doses of the hormone progesterone within 72 hours of taking the first drug, mifepristone, it'll safely and effectively cancel its effects, and in doing so, reverse the abortion. There's absolutely no scientific basis to support such a claim. It's a claim. It is not based in any facts or scientific data.
Heartbeat International released a statement today that says in part, quote, "These women deserve the right to try and save their pregnancies. No woman should ever be forced to complete an abortion she no longer wants." Real Options Obria has not yet commented on this lawsuit. Also in California, Stanford University is planning to pay back millions of dollars in donations. The school says it was gifted those funds by cryptocurrency exchange FTX before its collapse last November. According to a lawsuit, the parents of FTX's disgraced founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, directed more than $5 million in donations to the university. Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried are both professors at Stanford Law School. FTX debtors accuse them of using the money to boost their professional and social status at the elite school. A spokesperson for Stanford says the university will be returning the funds in their entirety. Bankman-Fried's fraud trial is set to begin next month. He has pleaded not guilty in that case. In Arizona today, it was an emotional meeting between a woman and the man who received her late husband's organs. Fox's Mark Martinez has more tonight on the life-saving donation.
There was not a dry eye in the room as Marie Bernard Johnson listened to the lungs of her late husband, Stephen, as they breathed life into Bobby Campbell.
Listening to the lungs, it was just mind-blowing because that's my husband in there. That's his lungs. That's him breathing. So he's still alive in some way, but in Bobby, which is incredible and miraculous.
Marie and Bobby meeting for the first time today since the lung transplant that saved his life in September of 2020. Bobby, who's now 74, had been diagnosed with severe lung disease and needed a transplant urgently. Stephen was a perfect match.
I don't know why God picked me, but I'm certainly glad that it happened as way as it did, but there's a reason for that.
Getting to meet Bobby today, it solidifies everything.
Bobby says he's happy people are learning more about the man who gave him more time with his family and the importance of organ donation.
Just elated. I'm glad the story's out there. This man deserved all the respect and thanks that I could give him.
Yeah, a touching moment there. That was Fox's Mark Martinez reporting for us tonight. Bobby is now 74 years old and says he is grateful for this second chance at life. A special celebration in Washington. The Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium in the city of Tacoma is celebrating a big birthday this weekend. Suki the elephant is turning 59 years old, and it's a big milestone. The zoo says Suki is a super senior among Asian elephants. With a median lifespan of 47, she is one of the oldest elephants in the country. Here is to many more celebrations. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for West Coast Wrap. You can keep up to date with all the stories we're covering at westcoastwrap.com. Have a great rest of your night.
Feels on today. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
One of these two.
Yeah, I think maybe this one.
That one?
Yeah.
New bottles. At Spring Sources, we fill our bottles with